Recording in progress. Ira, your layout was wonderful. The whole Art Basel was very easy to navigate, and it was wonderful. Well done.
Thank thank you.
You're
It was a
welcome.
good year. We had a lot of positive response and it was a very successful job.
Yeah, well done. Hi, Michael.
So,
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Heather.
Okay.
We're waiting for Alex and Ricki to hop on,
Okay.
and just waiting for a few members.
What, did that
So,
contact work out for you too? At,
Yeah.
at
Oh,
Mount Sinai?
I sent her an email. I'm hoping to get a response soon. But I
Okay.
know it's the holidays. I'm not
Yeah,
expecting.
that's
I
true.
know.
That's
I know
true.
how things get.
Okay. Cool beans.
One more time, please. I apologize. It was moving.
let's start again.
Yeah, start it again, Ira.
Alex is walking right.
And now Alex is walking. It's practice time.
Guy with the money. Yeah, good start. Alex controls the money.
Would you mind putting packets with Alex?
yeah, it's
This one
about that
right
to
here.
YouTube. So.
Yep, I gave him the extra sheet. I printed out that sheet by accident. The one I emailed you. I printed it out.
Okay, we'll try it again. Welcome everybody to the second annual hybrid meeting of the 41st Street Business Improvement District. As a public body, we're obligated to have these annual meetings. They're open to the public. We've got State Representative, Commissioner, staff, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for attending as well. So today we're going to talk about what we've done and where we're going. And we have to re-elect 1/3 of our board members till we get started. We're on a staggered basis. So that's our agenda for today. And I'll start with, I guess, the election of the Class 1 board members. Positions that are open are the president, the lieutenant member, the additional board member. And I think everybody has gotten a ballot. Amy has mailed it out. The president category is me. Lieutenant member is Michael Goldberg, and the additional board member is Aaron Haimov. If you haven't voted and you're eligible to vote, please vote now.
There you go.
If you've already voted and sent your ballot to Amy, it will be counted and we will count the results by the end of the meeting.
Judy, I believe I said you should have a digital one in your email.
All right.
Actually,
I don't know if I do.
let me send it to you now. If you in that let me send you an easier one so you don't have to scan the PDF version.
Okay, I'm awaiting it.
All right, we'll collect those and before the meeting is over, announce the results.
Maybe I didn't receive it yet.
I'm right now.
It looks like there's one of them behind the screen.
What?
You both good guys.
What's the vote as well?
Oh.
I make a motion for him as chairman of the board right here.
All-
Yeah, second that. All in favor, all there.
Okay, let's move on to the executive director's report. Amy, I think the board members received a copy of the report that was filed with the city, but why don't we go over and highlight it?
Absolutely.
Everybody else and
This year, and short and recap, this year we did our vision plan where we focused on where we need to develop an overlay of some sort, an incentive overlay that helps mitigate helps decentivize the use of live local. We want to help redevelop the area without going as high. So we're gonna be excuse me. That was one of the outcomes of it was developing our zoning overlay. Forgive me, Ira. This whole thing just got me all discombobulated.
too much tech.
Yes, and then we went over with everything, and then we hit everything, and I didn't get my brain together. Went too fast. So give me 1 second.
Reboot, you gotta reboot.
I know.
Reboot.
Let's hit a little reset. Okay, here we go. Okay, so our report in short, because we did our vision plan. We worked out identifying an overlay for the district, which is going to be our next step strategy for year 2. We identified the types of businesses that we're looking for that we're wanting to redevelop onto the street. So we're focusing on residential redevelopment projects to help offset some of the transportation burden on the street. Looking at housing options that help support the hospital and the hotel, and primarily really working with the hospital as well because they're looking for some housing for some staff that's coming in. And we need the energy of residential in order to be able to support the type of businesses that we want on 41st Street that are going to stay after hours, and the ones that we focused in on the vision plan, and having a grocer is one of those things, and we're focusing on that as well for year 2. High-end boutiques and high-end restaurants, and really helping support the offices, some little office spaces and residentials coming into our office spaces. Also included in the update was a reduction in our vacancy. We've reduced down to 5.4 from 8.2 over the lowest since 2020. So I think it's 2019, excuse me. So we've done some dedicated work with Haimov group, with Ricki, with our board members. I mean, directly with our board members to come up with Bagel Boss being one of the new tenants, Royal Veteran Clinic coming in with Orli, and I know that's been a process, but it's still adding to reducing our vacancies. And so once we focus in on which properties we can redevelop, will help support new tenants coming into those spaces, because that's where we're struggling with supporting new tenants coming in. Is we need to be able to be able to support the spaces. The spaces aren't built out well enough for some of the tenants that we're trying to attract. So we need to have higher end buildings and higher end spaces for our higher end boutiques and shops that we're trying to get. Go ahead.
And we've got several new
Several new
relocating tenants on the street.
the UPS store and Bagel Time have relocated over to the vacated, what was vacated, the restaurant, regular restaurant, Rose's Toasters, correct. And last but not least, we've been getting in our collections, and we worked in with our city, and that was part of the update, is where we struggled with some collections issues because of invoicing. We've cleared all that up. We're working on a year 2 improvement that should help bring in all our year 1 past assessments and year 2 assessments right on time, early in the start of the year. So I'm hopeful that that's going to clear up our bank, where we can then build up our website, our branding design, and go full gear on all of those initiatives and follow through on the rest of our year 2 initiatives.
One other important tenant that came to the street this past year was SAV Bio. They moved their
Yes,
corporate
correct.
headquarters from South Dakota to the 777 building.
Correct.
So interest is here slowly but surely, but we've got to build on it. We've got the 2 new housing projects coming online in the coming year, one across the street, one on the Alton Road. And there's a lot of talk about what could be done with many of the other properties. Also need to add to that, where we're going this year, pushing the moving ahead with the RFP for the city parking lots, and seeing what can be done on joint venture development on those properties. That's something that we expect to push with the commission and the city hard this coming year. It's time. It's due.
Do you want to move on to our year 2 focus
Yes.
with the start of that
Yes,
conversation?
yes.
Because I think that's more an intensive set of
Yes.
discussions. Things the group kind of gone through most of our treasurer's report. Start off with
And about this
budget.
treasurer's report, and then the future.
Go through the future.
Treasurer's report. Not much to say other than what we usually say. We're focusing on collections right now. Our biggest expense is Amy's salary, which we are managing to cover. We have our typical office accounting, that, but it's really about collections. We've met with the city. We have verified that we are able to, that it is a lien, it is real estate tax. We're able to communicate that, and so people understand, hey, we're not soliciting you. We're not saying, please join us. Like you're already in. The vote's been cast.
Right.
These fees are owed. And last time we met, we spoke about doing our own mailing on top of the city mailing to make sure letters are going out certified. Because we are still getting feedback of, oh, I didn't even know this bill existed. I didn't even know the bid existed. So it's really our focus right now is collections.
So we've been pretty good on bringing that up in the last couple of months.
Absolutely. We're getting them trickled in since.
So there was a report yesterday that another
6,000
came in.
And
Treasurer, quick question. Can you remind me how many unit owners have to pay that? And how many, what percentage have paid so far? What haven't?
It's property owners. It's
Profit, that's what I mean, property. That's what I meant, property.
First
Well, what's the total number of property owners that are assessed?
62 property owners.
And how many have paid?
About 33% of them.
Okay, so half.
Let's have more than that.
I mean, of the
In
actual
numbers of
folio,
property
actual
owners,
property
or
owners,
based
but not
the number of
necessarily
folios
the
that-
number of.
But who,
Right.
Specific owners.
as Amy made a presentation to the 41st Street Mayor's Task Force, which
I have that.
I'm not on that board, but I sit in on it, and during her presentation, the collections came up, and I'm a board member of the bid, I kind of chimed in kind of to help Amy a little bit because they asked about the collections and how it's going, and we had already reported, you had reported on the last, it's difficult, it's a startup, CVS, some of the bigger ones,
Right.
so we said, look. I said, we have the best treasurer in the world, Alex Fry. He's a bulldog. How do you say no to him? But I kind of updated them as to, found out, and I chimed in for Amy is that it's a learning curve that, Lincoln Road went through it, Washington Avenue went through it, and it's kind of a learning curve because it's new to everybody on the street. But out of that 50%, also like there's a handful of really large ones, right?
Yeah, that's
Like it's like the CVS. I mean, what are some of like the really large
CVS,
$20
Walgreens.
ones?
CVS, Burger King, and 432 West 41st Street. That's $30,000 right there.
I mean, you would think in the corporate world, they would be like not hesitant because they've got the funds.
The problem was,
we're just getting to the right
and
person.
the problem is the bill didn't get to the right
So
person.
that's what I
A
thought.
year
That's
ago.
what I thought.
Wait a second. 432 West 41st Street is mine. My question is, they sent us a couple of different invoices. We paid them all, and 432 and 428, I think the folio was merged together as one folio. So I'm not exactly sure how many bills we received. I think it was either 3 or 4, but like I said, 432 and 428 West 41st Street are one folio number, one address.
Okay.
I think, Mr. Treasurer, it may benefit the board for us to have I'm assuming it's public record that we have a list at the meetings to see who's paid.
We've had
Hasn't
it
paid.
at the annual meeting, but we have it at the board meeting, and at our next board meeting, we'll have it updated.
I have a list today. I brought for here.
Great.
Well,
Amy, can you share that list so I could see what has been funded by the Forge property? Because I know that they
Yeah.
had a few different invoices, and then at one point you sent me an additional bill, which I sent on to the Malnicks and their team. But I just want to make sure that we have, I think there's a total of 3 folios, 416,
yeah, there's 3
444.
folios and one
Uh-huh.
folio sent out. One folio is received, 2 others haven't been received.
Okay, if you send that over to me, I'll make sure it gets to the right people to be paid.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we need to be working on collections. This is December, it's the end of the year. This year's, the 2025 bill is going out this month. So we have a plan in place that we're also going to be, in addition to the city sending out the special assessment bill, we're gonna follow up through Amy and through certified mailings that Alex is coordinating as the treasurer to bring that to reality as well. But part of it, as you say, Michael, is getting the habit going and getting everybody started and beginning to see some of the activity, what we're doing. We should not be having this conversation a year from now. We should have everything place it up and running and doing. If for any that are attending the meeting that haven't paid, please pay.
And I can tell you the December invoices will be going out December 15th from the city, and we'll be sending ours on the first week of January certified mail. So
And if you don't receive either or both, contact Amy,
correct.
because it means we still have an incorrect mailing address.
This is everybody. Everybody that knows Amy, this is everybody.
That's everybody who knows.
Interesting. All right, any questions of the treasurer on the treasurer's report? Good job, Alex.
We had to go through the budget for year 2.
Okay, yes. And that went out in the attachment.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think the last.
Let me give an extra copy.
You want to go through the highlights quickly, Alex?
Sure. We have our administrative expenses, which is Amy. We have our basic office expenses, And then we're really looking at branding and marketing next year. Our programming, last year we kind of talked about the idea of activating 41st Street for Basel. Obviously, it didn't happen this year. But this should be the year where we start figuring something out, bringing the street to people's attention, because eventually, whatever it is we want to do, we're going to need public support for it.
And if everybody gets us their checks at the start of their year,
Yeah.
this year, we can start the ball rolling at the beginning of the year and hit the ground running. Be prepared for Basel at the end.
And if we can bring in the rest of the first year money that we haven't spent yet, that will add extra money for going forward in year two.
Yeah.
We've been not spending more than we had coming in, so we've been prudent, but next year we should be able to spend a little more wildly.
Absolutely. And with that first set that comes in and it replenishes the bank accounts, I'd like to be able to pay off the reimbursements for
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
the
yes, let's talk about that for a
yes.
second. Those of us that contributed to the initial startup cost of bringing the bid to life have all contributed, what was it, $50,000-$60,000
Correct.
total. So we need to repay that back as well as it comes in. That's a loan. Some have asked about it in the past, but that's on the agenda as well.
So start a year, collect would be great.
Okay, anything else, treasurer, finance report wise? That's all I got. Any questions? Anybody online that's got questions?
Approve the budget.
We're good? All right, then we'll move on to our year two statistics. Amy?
As mentioned, we've been focusing on zoning because we haven't been able to fund any of our websites and branding initiatives. We've been really focusing in on how to help support the redevelopment on 41st Street, and office and whoever are our ground floor tenants, and what their needs are. So we've dedicated our time with our executive committee and realized that our approach and idea to how to incorporate our residential needs and our business needs on the street that is in line with the city's tone, kind of vision, like not so offensively, outrageously tall the way Live Local can provide for. We need to identify some incentives to help de-incentivize the Live Local. So where our year two focus now is going to be we want to focus specifically on four lots, I would say four lots, three owners, different owner groups to understand because they have the biggest project potential, the Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Haimov building at 700, around 700 area. With their back lots, they have the biggest potential to have keystone projects that change the street's dynamics. And we need to be able to find what type of incentives they would need and those types of projects similar to would need to be able to grow and progress along the corridor. So from there, I think I leave it to you.
Yeah, I think our big effort this year's got to be to come up with the specifics of the zoning changes that we'd like to incorporate into 41st Street zoning overlay. And we've had a couple meetings. We've met with Tom Mooney. We talked about it with our executive committee and briefly with our board. We just need to move that along and get it reduced to specific requests. Spend some time with the planning department in hammering out what we can make work, what we can't make work. And we have to understand how the potential for Live Local impact on development of the street versus the zoning on the street. We find some common ground and a common path forward for development on the street.
I know, and what we've talked about for starting going through for year two is having those dedicated meetings with those property owners and I guess as maybe like a task force to kind of create an open discussion with developers to kind of and then to have a workshop meeting
we need to have a workshop meeting with the
One, yeah.
property, with the potential development property owners. They need to be a source of coming up with
Correct.
where we can go with it, with the zoning. As well as, we need to have, a workshop collectively with the property owners to, this is what the task force would like to bring forward. And I think that's a big task in the coming year. I think another role that we can play going forward is to engage the bid in helping support what not only those major property owners want to do, but what some of the smaller property owners also want to do in improving their properties and moving it along. And the biggest single impediment to any of the property owners on the street now, if you added 100 square foot addition to any of these storefront properties, you have to provide parking. And it starts to get complicated when you don't have any land to put property, because the pattern of development for 41st Street was originally the city provides the parking, the property owners provide the buildings, and for the mercantile development of the street. So we've got to balance that off in the zoning requirements as well. And that also impacts, as we're looking at the possibility of bringing more residential units to the street or to the immediate neighborhood, what that does to parking. So I see this year as a big year on trying to not only envision where we want to go, but now get it down to the brass tacks of what do we need to do to tweak the zoning to make it a reality.
Absolutely. And because we reviewed at our last executive committee, I believe some for what would be applicable to the smaller projects,
Right.
which we all agreed it wasn't enough to help support the bigger projects that we were looking for.
So we have to deal with both. They have to
Correct.
move a parallel path. And I think the other big thing coming up this year that we need to talk about, I walked from my office over here and saw a lot of sidewalk issues. We need to get going with the city streetscape improvement project. It has been lingering for too long, really. The 60% got resubmitted to FDOT, but we need to get that where it's 100% approved and we can schedule it. And we need to think about when and what time of year that construction works. Obviously, we don't want any construction in the month of December with Art Basel in town, and then the Christmas and New Year's holidays. So that's got to be part of that input. And we've put it out there on the table with the capital improvements, but now we got to make sure it gets into the specs to get to the table in this coming year.
Commissioner, do you happen to know if the item on Wednesday for 41st Street, the update, I guess they need a commission approval, design approval is what they needed. Commission design approval is the item on.
Is it on consent or one of the discussions?
It's a discussion item. If that moves the project along, or maybe that's a question more for Justin, if the city knows, if the administration knows, does that move the help move this along? Is that what's holding up the 60%? Because I think that's been on the agenda for a couple months.
Hi,
Update.
good morning. That's a good question. I believe it is required. The design review is required from not the DRB. That's actually just an advisory meeting to show what the design looks like. It's not required to move it forward. I think it's the requirements really just come from FDOT, but I will check with our CIP staff and get back to you before the end of the meeting.
Okay, because I was just curious because then there's been an item on the agenda for a while about updating, or maybe it's not been a while. It's just been like the last.
Because it went to DRB over the summer.
Yeah, and I think the
DRB
last
5 or 6
meeting
months later,
had something.
and the commission still hasn't approved it. We need to
I'll
do.
bring it up, yeah.
Bring it
We have
up.
a shorter agenda tomorrow.
Oh, good,
So I'll mention it to the mayor's chief of staff to make sure it gets called.
good, because I think we need to move that along, so at least the design team can move it from 60% to 100%.
Yeah.
And you know, it takes longer to do the reviews than it does to do the design.
Isn't that crazy?
It is, it really is. And that I guess it needs to be a champion to keep pushing it
I'll
along.
push it. I'll make sure it's called.
Good, good, thank you.
Thank
Um. What else for our year two initiative? I think we covered most of the critical points.
Getting the website. I'm doing since we've gotten some funds in, I'm working on one of those low-key website things to just have something up so it has all of our compliance things that we need for government things. It has a place to point people to when we're talking about the bid, has our contact information, has some, stuff about the bid, basic stuff so we have them. Going later into the year with especially having funds, be able to develop that site into an actual formal, something jazzed, branded, marketed site that works more in line with what the bid's vision is would be great. Is the direction for the rest of the second year. Go ahead.
So in talking about branding, we understand website's expensive,
Mhm.
so you get money, but there's certain things that we can do sooner versus later, we should be doing. We should look at the social medias that are free to us. Instagram, Facebook, things like that. I mean, I'll give you an example. We had a ribbon cutting for Bagel Boss, state representative was there, thank you. And, I went and I did a post on my social media, Instagram, Facebook. I tagged the Miami Beach Chamber because we do it at the Miami Beach Chamber. I said, as 41st Street Business Improvement District Board member and past chair of the chamber, I was proud to do it. But it would have been great if I could have tagged a 41st Street Facebook and 41st Street Instagram. That's easy to do. That could be done like yesterday. Or maybe not. I'm just kind of brainstorming because that's easy. That's easy stuff.
But managed and actually where it actually is something that is thrived and it functions well, works with someone who does social media. That's where
Somebody under 21.
Mr. Chair, back up. I'm 61 years old. Okay, I do my own social media.
Well,
I said all my social media. Okay, it's not. Time out. It's not that complicated to do. Okay,
Would you like to share the social media?
No, absolutely not. I'm not the expert. I'm not the expert. Yes, I know people hire someone, but it's really, and I'm really,
You're right.
I want to hear the other
find
board
a way to
members because
make it happen.
tell me, it's easy, it's inexpensive, and I would have loved to be able to tag. I wrote 41st Street, bid on there, but I would have loved. It's not, So when a business opens up, okay, you're promoting the business. This is about promoting. Remember, you got the owners, but you got the retail businesses. I mean, that was a great opening. And state rep, please chime in. You were there. We had a great opening. We had almost. I think we had a quorum. We could have of the commission there, which is great. The mayor was there.
Could have solved all the
Right.
issues.
We could have gotten a lot done. But I mean, it was a really cool event. And where were we? I mean, I was there, as a chamber past year and board member,
the chamber I found,
but I could have, I could have sent you that picture and you could have put it on, whatever. I mean, again, just something to think about because, to me, if you don't have that in anything, let alone business,
absolutely.
It's very hard for you because branding is branding, and we know a website is expensive, but this stuff is not expensive. It's not complicated, so I think we need to explore.
We need to find
and no, I will not chair that committee.
Yeah.
I really also say.
There's one thing on social media, so there still is branding that needs to be done. So, it's like, yes, you could post pictures, great, and that is definitely easy to do. The question is then, do you want to go back when the branding comes in and change it? Because if you want to make it something that's like special and cool that really could go have a viral sense to it.
It's getting the
there still
name
needs
out
to
there.
be-
It's getting 41st Street. I agree.
still don't,
You don't think we're ready? You don't think we're ready?
Yeah, I think we need just at least like a branding thought about like what we want to do, and then we're ready.
And
You don't have to share your committee.
No,
Right there.
There's been zero branding.
where it points to. You need something where that identity points to,
I-
it's not just the name, so it's got something where it says this is who we are and this is what we're about.
Right, what's the mission?
Yeah,
Vision.
and so that's where we've been developing to, and I know it doesn't feel as great as this tags and stuff, but we've been
What
developing.
we really need is somebody
But I
to
think-
develop
But I agree,
it, develop the
Agree.
website.
Also,
Social media.
Twitter, all that
Completely.
stuff.
You should secure the name. now,
Completely.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that doesn't cost you
Right.
anything easy.
And Twitter's a little easier. So like if you want to, it depends on like what the platform is. But like, if you want to just get news out there, like and tag like Miami Beach or whatever.
Mhm.
But again, there has to be a plan anyway, and someone's got to make
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's a thing to
Yeah,
actually
it's,
manage the social media.
I think Alex is the youngest board member at the table.
Yeah.
Alex,
He does the
25,
minus
26.
If we're counting by social media posts, I think I'm at 5 over a 6-year.
Can we go by accounts? I've got one.
But what we're really saying is we need to bring somebody, whether
Absolutely.
it's part of our team, bring in somebody on board that's our professional that manages it, but as it grows, it's gonna need proper management.
And I think that just everything's got to be like it's got to be the social media, but then on top of that, emailing, newsletters, follow up. There's a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's doable. I think Alex is gonna be great at it.
I like Washington Avenue's website.
Mhm.
And I don't know when they established
Their
it.
branding.
Right.
Took us
That's
a
what
few
I'm
months to
saying.
brand it and come up with what the identity is.
It's the brand.
And then we
like,
hired someone to go and do it. Yeah.
That's the key. You gotta do both.
Yeah.
You gotta have the vision
Takes money.
for the brand, and then you gotta tell somebody go ahead and implement it,
Right.
and then
Exactly.
stay on.
We need the cash to fund it.
Mm-hmm.
We can very similar to
Absolutely.
that too, and kind of copying a way to build
Right.
like a unity of bids.
Right.
That's my pay grade.
So I think we ought to put that on our agenda for our board meeting.
Yeah.
How do we get to implement that?
Bringing in social media.
Okay,
Prioritize.
any questions, comments, thoughts about our year 2 initiative? Where we want to go?
I like it. It's
Anything
great.
we've missed? Any questions? If not, I'll open it up to an open forum for any members or want to have discussion or feedback. And Amy, you need the election results.
Yep, I'm getting Seth's in now.
Anybody?
Anybody
Sure,
come?
Sure. One thing, since we have our state representative here, we have a commissioner here. We keep talking about how for Jefferson Plaza, how that's one of the preferred development sites. I know that before we come up with any plan, whatever we can figure out for that building, it's gonna involve vacating the alleyway. So that would be the first ask for that site. It's an empty, there's no between this building and the lot. There's that alleyway. The alleyway's sole purpose is to get from one side of the building to the other. It doesn't even connect to Pine Tree. There's no utility lines there. It can't be used for any other purpose other than getting around. That's just it's a piece of public land that stands in the middle of this. So
Alex, what does that mean to vacate that? When you say vacate it, what does that mean?
It no longer owns
the
it.
city no longer owns it.
So who would own it?
We would own it.
So they're basically giving
But
that.
there's a process
Yeah,
that's
referendum.
codified
Right.
already in place. And if I remember correctly, it requires a
That's
vote of the
November.
electorate.
Yeah.
So that's got to go to.
So
I don't know if is it public referendum or is it
Giving away
commissioner
public,
vote?
basically
but
giving away.
that's what we have to
referendum.
determine.
Yeah.
Yes, I know 2 years ago, Raphael Paz wrote an opinion about that.
No, but wasn't in November this last election?
It just-
It just changed
But
that we have to have referendum.
So
The
we need,
geniuses came up with I have an idea, let's just make things more annoying. So they did that, and now we need to go to referendum. Let's take it one step further. So the question is, like I said, that's like the low hanging fruit. I don't want to complicate things, but if we're gonna go for it, maybe I would like to also vacate that parking area. Like that street is kind of like a street that people make a right, causes more traffic, right? Because it's you're going into like that parking. If we were to do development, don't you think we could take that parking building if we wanted to build parking and maybe vacate that to get
It's a weird little.
so it's a weird, like, yeah, it's like just a weird there. I think it would actually be better for traffic. And also that park. That park is useless right now. Like who's ever used that park ever? I think they had like one thing, like a food market or something. But that would be great if we were able to revitalize that. So the question is, can we vacate all of that and create like something cool, or the city can do something with that?
well, in
without-
developing our zoning overlay, I think it's gonna be dependent upon the affected property owners to come up with what they think they need to have. Bring it to the table here, and we need, as an organization, to then bring it to the planning department and to the city, and ultimately to the commission. And I think that's an excellent example where it's time to put pen to paper.
Yeah.
Or type on the computer
And I think
what you want to accomplish or what needs to be accomplished. And bring it to the board.
Yeah, the distinction here is about these are things that, look, obviously are a benefit to us. If there's a price on it, no one's asking for her. Just give it to me for free. But this is much different than selling a public lot. There's just nothing can be done by anyone on this app.
Now, how do you sell that to the residents who will vote on it? Because typically what comes back is,
Well,
what's the public benefit?
That's the million
What's the
dollar
public
question.
benefit?
We've had referendums in the city, and when you talk about it, people say, "Oh no, the electorate votes against it, votes against it." I saw some statistics this past week that showed of the referendums that we've had, and I don't know, it's the past 10 years or so, the majority of them passed by the elections because a strong case was made to support it. And if we're bringing a strong case for redevelopment of 41st Street, and it's not only the one property, but it affects the entirety of this street through the overlay, I think we have a much better strong.
I agree, and change is good. Look, we need to change.
But
If the street hasn't
and if
changed,
the electorate is
we need change.
informed and they support it, they voted in favor of it.
So is this like a November election, or you could do a special election? I'm sure special elections cost money. So is there any other elections that are happening? Because I think the
Well-
less of a turnout, the better it is for these things to pass. Because if it is November, I just think that there's a lot of residents here that don't want anything done. You can tell them it's the greatest thing ever. They're not going to want any development. So it's going to be hard to pass, even though, yes, there's a way
We need
to
to
do
sit
it.
and
But if we can
strategize
do a special
in
election
moving it ahead.
for these type of things.
When the next election is a municipal election, which is the low turnout election. And what other developers have done in the past, when they want to have their cause go through, they do a couple mailings. Because there's really not
And when is
gonna
that?
be on the opposing side.
When is that one?
November, first Tuesday in November.
So it would be in November. So there is no like special election
No,
yet. Right.
not that I
But,
know.
talking 11 months away, but it would
That's
take
fine.
several months just to put all of this in place.
For sure.
It's not so far away, actually.
No, I see that as being the right timing, put it that way. But it's also, what happens if it doesn't pass? Right?
Well, that's why we gotta make a good, strong case for the street as a whole. And we've got to rally the people that use 41st Street as their local shopping area to support it as well. And it takes a do it. But if it's a legitimate basis, it's not a 450 foot building that we're coming in and asking for variance. And you draw the whole city out to come fight it. I think what we're looking for is something a little more reasonable, and we've got to make the case.
Yeah, only 400 feet, not 450. You gotta work it out.
50 feet here or there, who's right? But I think that's got to be a strong agenda, and you raised the point. It's time for the various property owners that are on these affected problems to put in writing, bring it to our board meeting, and let's work our way through it.
Yeah.
So. Okay, just one other comment, talking about other developments. There's still a very strong interest in bringing the supermarket to 41st Street. And that's an important agenda going forward for the year as well. And
Specifically Fresh Market. I know Seth said he could hop on for just a moment if we wanted to try and see if he had any update. I can see any update towards the Fresh Market. Or no. I can-
There's talk of that going behind the city.
this talk, it's still kind of going around and around and around. Why don't we leave it for the board meeting?
Okay.
We'll get the update because we're close
Running
to
out
12
of
o'clock. And I think we're in good shape there. Any other comments or thoughts from anybody? Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, of course. But I said that it's 62 business owners that are member of the bid. How many are there in total?
So there's 62 property owners. So all the properties, except if they're exempt, government is.
Okay.
So like North Beach is exempt, religious institutions are exempt. Other than that, it was 62 property owners.
So all of
Yeah,
them,
probably.
62
All
is
of
the
them.
full contingency, and
Right.
a third are paid.
No one's paid.
No,
But pay-
I'm just talking about the payment this year.
Oh.
It's a skewed number because we're talking numbers of owners, but they're owners of multiple properties. So,
I see.
like I have 2 or 3 properties that are affected. You've got multiple properties. Haimov has 4 or 5. The Baloff family has 4 or 5.
Mhm.
So we can get you an accurate number.
I'm just curious, and I appreciate what you're doing for the area. It really needs revitalization. I love that you guys were talking about working on incentives for residential housing with 3 property owners, and that would be for Mount Sinai folks. I think that is fantastic.
We think it's got great merit. We got to make sure it can work, but the only way we find out is put out some paper
Right.
and try it. And I think one of the other things that the book can facilitate is individual property owners have visions for how and what they want to develop. We just talked about one. The bid can help bring it together as well. The Roosevelt Theater is another prime property. We're talking
There's
about
something
that.
on the
I know
agenda. One of my colleagues
Kristen
was
had brought
something
it up.
about Roosevelt
Yeah.
Theater.
And we spoke to her, what, 3 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and talked about some of the possibilities. We've talked to the
The
property
property
owner
owner.
as well, so. A lot needs to be done, but at least for the change, we're talking about it. For
Right.
a long time, we were just very silent on this.
Well, this is great that you're talking about it. If there's anything I can do to help you get things over the finish line, please reach out.
Thank you.
So could I just add something, please?
Sure.
I want to get back to your earlier statement on disincentivizing the live local. I'm gonna come to you for a second. I'm gonna look for optimism because I like what you said. You're my friend, but we got to believe in the electorate. I don't like the notion of waiting for a lesser busy election so we can slip something by. Talk like that is what's made us have the problems that we have today. This is a great opportunity to create an actual public-private partnership where the city gets out of the way, understands they own a road that's useless to them, beneficial to the revitalization of 41st Street. It's an opportunity, and we need to see what we can do. We need to properly package something, transparently present it to the community, and make them understand that with this partnership and the assessments on this project, partnered with funding from the state, we can start doing something that's long overdue. We've got infrastructure issues, we've got bridge issues, we've got traffic issues. None of this is getting resolved by the city alone, the business owners alone. Yeah, hopefully the voters alone will move this forward the next election, because I think if recent elections speaks loudly enough, they're understanding what's been going on for too long, and they'd like to see progress, not for some, but a real opportunity for progress for the whole. Comprehensive planning is where we need to aim for, and this is a great opportunity to start. I came with 10 pages of notes for you guys. We're going to have our own meeting at some point, because there's so much we can do from the marketing aspect. Let's take that idea. Let's find the brand. Let's partner with state marketing tools. Let's couple that with the local, chambers and the CRE or what's the greater chamber, whatever you've got a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of money there. It can't all rest on one. Working together, there is a very swift path forward. And that, from me spending a lot of time in this area, people are ready for it and they will vote for it. They will vote for something sensible.
If they believe in it,
Well, let's give them something to finally believe in. And then if you could just explain what that means, because I get so many hits on Live Local, but I can tell you the only buildings that are the tallest buildings in Miami Beach to ever be approved and built to completion were approved before Live Local ever existed.
Yeah.
And I encourage anyone before commenting on Live Local to read that bill, every word of that bill, and understand the economic opportunities.
Oh no, that's a great.
It's a phenomenal
the concept of
piece
it
of
is not the
legislation.
problem at all.
Yeah. So what do you mean by?
It's the concern for the height. I believe the area, if a project were to use the height level allowed for that Live Local gives for this zone on 41st Street, we're looking at a Fountain Blue level height on.
No one's
41st.
forcing anyone
No,
to
no,
max
no,
out.
no, at
Right.
all.
But the
My
numbers
issue,
have.
the numbers, and so I want to give our property owners numbers that work for lower heights than they necessarily do for higher heights. I want them to be able to give us what
So
they need.
You're trying to see, yeah. So
Yes,
they need to give you
without
the numbers of what makes
correct
their numbers
projects
work, so rents can be lower, so
correct
living
without going
opportunities
as
can
so
be
high.
lower.
Correct.
Yeah, let's not be greedy.
No,
This is
we
an
don't want any of
opportunity
that.
to
We
produce
want
something
we
wonderful
want
and neat.
workforce
Yeah.
housing. We just need micro development, not
Yeah.
necessarily
No,
or gentle
micro-
development. I
micro
wouldn't say
is not
micro
the
development.
Responsible redevelopment. Responsible redevelopment.
Correct.
Here's the big fear. Under live local, you can build to the height of anything that's within a mile.
The reason why that was done is because in prior administrations, only some were getting the opportunity to build the highest buildings in the sky. Whoever backed certain people on this commission, right? That's no longer. So the state now says we're leveling the playing field. That's not for the vultures to take opportunity and liberties to build us and turn us into Dubai, forget Sunny Isles, right? That's not what the opportunity is
but
there
here's
for.
the consequence.
But it's to make the numbers work so you can get these rents lowered, fill these stores with
But-
good businesses,
But here's the
and get people to
consequence
live
of it.
here.
Within a mile is the blue and green diamonds and the fountain
Yeah.
blue. So it's conceivable 41st Street could become a street full of 44-story towers.
I don't see how, because built into this are also expectations of assessments to the project, which is going to partner in costs to repair our infrastructure and bridges. So going that high to bring in that amount of people, the infrastructure updates that are necessary at that capacity are going to price out the project. So that's where your idea in saying, let's get everybody together, working together to figure out how to make this work for every zone. That's what the intended purpose of this legislation is, not to stunt things and melt things and slip things by the electorate. There's good in this legislation, and only working together and being transparent about what we're trying to accomplish is how we're going to make things work. So
I
That's
think
where
there's
we
two things. I definitely agree. I'm excited to go through the 10 pages here.
yeah,
No, so I agree with everything you just said. I think there's two different things just to like bring it out. One is, the development, right? Which is like, what's our plan? We're gonna redevelop, we're gonna do like amazing thing. The second thing is like what Alex is saying, I like vacating the lands and doing things like that. Just from knowing the electorate, and I agree. I think it's gotta be transparent. We just have to, again, just throwing things out there. Asking for like a favor sometimes it just seems like it never passes. It's been many times where they've asked for things like developer just for like something here. So if we do it like what you're saying in a way that everything comes together as like one plan, that would be the move versus having different compartmentalized uh, options because then we're not going to get our things passed. Like I just
Well,
don't see it. If you just have a separate thing that
But
says
you're going to
it
have
has to be-
a commission that's going to share the vision, or we're going to create an opportunity to put in people that are going to not be so limited in their capacity.
right, right. So, but let me ask you exactly. But sometimes what I've seen is that, like, I think they have an example. There's like four referendum questions. If one of them doesn't pass, then it kind of like it kind of screws up everything. You know what I'm saying? So, I would like to focus on maybe one referendum that has everything.
But if we're holistic
And
in
that's
our
our
approach,
point.
as you suggested,
But we've seen it where we think you're holistic, and then one thing doesn't pass.
right?
And then that's the thing that kind of like is a linchpin to making, a development happen. Like if let's say we get this amazing, increase in let's say FAR zoning, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden, great. And then the second referendum question is vacate the land, and they say no. It's like, well, then we can't even use this. So it just has to be thought in a way
the
that
truth of the
it's
matter
all
is,
together.
I think
But how do we?
you're the politician.
How do we?
But
How do
I
we?
think the
You're the
sense of the elect,
politician. You
I
guys
think
tell
the
us what
sense
you
of the
guys-
electorate
I
now
hope.
is
I hope
if
you
you've
never
got
just
something
that.
that's reasonable and makes sense, they're willing to go along with it, and they have gone along with it. Part of it is how it gets structured and gets presented. They've been through the battles of the big super high rises, and I don't think the vacation of an alley is a big deal in the scheme of things that the electorate reacts negatively to.
But how do you partner that alley into the project,
Yes.
generating continuous revenue
Right, that's
or
the key.
infrastructure needs, or the
Right.
city's tourism, or
Yes.
let's
So
create
those
that
pieces
package.
have got to be figured out.
And if we need to come up with something that's a local bill that we can lobby here and take to Tallahassee and kind of, streamline some of this, we need the city to be a real partner in 41st Street. And whoever's making these trickery, referendums with the one that canceled out the other, let's just vote these people out. Get enough with the games.
Exactly.
It's a shame for us to come back here every meeting, every meeting, every meeting. We come to 41st Street and we still don't see the progress. Hardworking families, hardworking businesses trying to keep their doors open, dealing with the struggles of year
I
after
think that's part of what we have to dispel. There is progress. I'm looking at it right behind you. I'm looking at it at the.
How long did it take?
It's taken a lot longer.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
Yeah, let's streamline a plan and a process and the implementation.
And a good plan takes some time to get put together.
Well, we've got till November.
That's what
We've got till November. I've seen massive developments happen, between my primary and my general. Like things happen when they're pushed. And there's a lot of people that are just not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's time to just call them out and let's get to work, because I love 41st Street. And we're not seeing this like this anymore. I mean, and thank you for what you guys do.
And we'll be meeting with the new building director in this coming year too. So to get that started, to try and figure out how to streamline maybe some.
It's got to come from the top down.
Yeah.
So make it happen.
Absolutely.
Just remember, live local. There's opportunity there for comprehensive partnerships and planning.
Yeah.
So let's access the state funding available in there. Let's get the city fast tracking permitting processes. Let's get the right kind of people who have a good track record of what they've proposed in the city involved.
How are you contemplating because are you hearing a lot of complaints about heights and concerns about heights and ways
I'm
to
seeing a lot of stunts.
offset maybe discussions around it so you can focus maybe, because I think there's lots of stunts on it, lots of stunts.
Yeah.
How can we get them
focusing
on not the stunt part?
And to not pick on Miami Beach elected so much, let me give you a totally different city. I won't even mention names, but a city far west of here and south of here. A constituent of ours, of my district in Aventura, calls me, says, I'm having a problem with this city mayor. Can you give her a call? I said, I can give her a call. What's the issue? It's about the height. It's about the stunt. This is all when Live Local first came out. Called the mayor. I said, what's going on your side? I heard both sides. I said something very similar to what I just said now. I said, now you guys can play all the games of the politics, or you can have your team sit down and don't leave that room till you come up with the solution, which is the right kind of height that gets you to build and make your profitability while giving opportunities to the commercial tenants and the residential tenants.
Yeah.
They did it and they moved forward. Yeah. I can have them call you guys and give you some, ideas of what they did.
Yeah.
Every project is unique. Everything.
We just want to do that collectively without doing like everyone going out for a stunt and then having to call everybody and tell them, so let's figure out how we can do this shortly. We want to start off.
What the electorate is tired of is the stunts and the provocation of emotion that is making them respond in a way on a ballot that's not delivering progress for anyone.
Agreed.
So
we want that same thing. Yeah. So it's not a criticism to Live Local itself. It's the hype.
And listen, there's
we want to avoid the stuff.
Criticize everything a little bit, but then find out where you can find the workability for solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right. I think you gave us a lot of food for thought. Mm-hmm. We need to dig in and really understand how Live Local will or will not affect the street.
And build into those costs infrastructure repair. We're all partners in this. We need bridges don't last forever. Roads don't. You've got 4 decades of deferred maintenance underground. You also want to bring some things up, right? We've got the future coming, however we want to define it. So let's build all this stuff into a project and keep me in the loop, because I love what's about to happen for 41st Street. That's what's happening.
All right. Very good. Appreciate it. There's no other business. You can stand adjourned. Thank everybody for attending and participating, and keep pushing forward.
Thank you all.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.